welcome to a brand new episode of Smile with Prachi. This is Prachi. Now, before starting with today's two letters of the day, I want to talk about something very interesting that I recently came across while browsing through Instagram. There was this post about apologizing. It really got me thinking as to why is saying sorry so hard for us. When we are growing up as children, when you make a mistake, you're punished. You are made to feel guilty. A little bit of this is important because obviously you can't give a child a chocolate or a toy for making some mistake or doing something wrong. You need to punish the child, right? In an appropriate way. But it actually instills in us this fear of accepting that we did something wrong, number one. Number two, the feeling of guilt is never a good one. And number three, as we grow older, we also start to realize that apologizing is almost like complete surrender. Giving the other person too much power over us, which is why apologizing becomes difficult. But here's the thing, guys, when you start to apologize correctly, properly, genuinely, it can do wonders for your relationship. So what are the mistakes that people usually make when they're apologizing? This statement, okay, where people say, I'm sorry you felt that way. This is such a common statement made. I have heard it for so many times myself. When I say I'm sorry, if I'm telling you I'm sorry you felt that way, it's really just deflecting all the blame on you and saying, you know what, I'm apologizing because I'm the bigger person, but you are the one who's the mistake, who's at fault. You are the one who's being too sensitive. How is that an apology? Apology is one that accepts that it is my fault. This is not accepting that's my fault. It's just saying I want to move past it, so I'll just apologize, but you should know it's your fault that you felt that way. On a very similar note, when people say, I'm sorry, it was just a joke. Well, if it was a joke, but if it hurts somebody, it was a joke in a poor taste. And that doesn't make it a joke then. And let me tell you, since you're talking about jokes, see, everyone has their own sensitive points. Everyone has their own triggers. It's very important to understand those things in relationships. Of course, you will still make mistakes. You can't read another person's mind. But when you start learning these things, you can definitely make amends and also be more careful. Another very common apology, I think this is the most common type of apology, is one where people say, I'm sorry, but this. So basically, I say I'm sorry. Then I say but, which basically means, okay, forget whatever I say before but. Now what I'm saying after this word but is what I really mean, and then I start justifying it. When you apologize, please do not justify your behavior. A lot of times when you go to apologize to a person, it actually leads to a bigger fight. It can lead to a situation where, maybe you can brush it off for a while, but after 6 months, you start having the same fight again. A lot of couples keep saying that we keep fighting over the same issues over and over again. Why? Because you are not fixing that issue. And fixing some of these issues requires an apology. Another apology, which I think is quite honestly very insincere sounding, is when people say, suppose I was to tell you, I'm sorry, can we just forget about it now? No, you cannot just forget about it if the other person is feeling hurt. The other person might want to talk about it. The other person might want to feel hurt. The other person might be looking to get validated. Now, moving to the first letter of the day. This letter, let's call the first writer of the day Beer. Okay, B-E-R, beer. Oh my god, there is this sound again, guys. I'm so sorry. Let's just pause for a second. So Beer says, hi Prachi. I have been dating my girlfriend for the last 2 years, and this year we moved in together. But I have a strong suspicion that she has been stealing money from me. The amounts are not that huge, usually between 500 to 2000 rupees. So I never made a big deal of it. Once I asked her if she has taken money from my wallet because I needed to pay the maid's salary, and she completely refused. It was a 2000 rupee note with a blue pen mark and sellotape. Next day we go to a cafe and she insists on paying and flicks out a 2000 rupee note with the same blue mark and sellotape. To think of it, she seems to be using this money not on herself but for expenses that I would pay for anyway. Simply going by the history of when I lost my money. If I trace back, she once paid for groceries, once for fridge repair, a few times for the cab, all pretty much immediately a day or two after the money went missing from my wallet. Clearly, her intent isn't wrong, because I would have obviously paid for these things without blinking an eye. I always do. I really wonder sometimes if this is okay or if this is necessary. I mean, we both are working. She earns one fifth of what I make. But does this really need, but does she really need to do this? I have tried to give her every comfort possible. So why? Our relationship is really good otherwise. She's a wonderful person, so much fun too. We're thinking of marriage after COVID is over. Should I really worry about these small amounts of money when we have such a strong relationship? Okay, first things first. Look, I have always said money is not the biggest thing in a relationship, but you're paying a maid salary, you are paying for the cab fares, you're paying for the fridge repair, you're paying for the grocery, you're paying for everything. Is she even contributing financially at all in this relationship? Now I know you have said in your letter that she earns one fifth of what you are making. So obviously it would be a little unfair to expect her to contribute the same amount in the relationship. I mean, you guys have a strong, close relationship, and one of the partners is earning more, so it's okay. There will be a slight difference over there. But the important thing is, does she ever even offer to pay? Look, we don't live in that world anymore when men are expected to pay for everything. Women have equal opportunities for most part of it in terms of education, in terms of career. I mean, I'm not talking about women who don't have these opportunities, I'm talking about those who do. So, why should a woman ask for equal opportunities and then ask a man or expect a man to pay for everything? This is something which I feel, I mean, just for all my male viewers especially who are watching this, it's very important to understand that equality goes both ways, responsibility and also the respect, right? Number two, well, for you 500, 2000 rupees is not a huge amount. I get that, but this is still money. Today the amount is small, tomorrow the amount could be bigger. My problem is with the stealing part of it. A person who can steal can also lie, can also do a lot of things behind your back. I know a lot of my viewers are currently confused as to why she's paying for all these expenses then. Like, if I'm to steal money, I would want to spend that money on myself, something that I would want. People can often do these things to justify that behavior to themselves. In a relationship, trust is a very important component. So if you know that she's capable of lying to you, cheating you, doing things behind your back, how are you even going to have, or how do you even have a strong relationship with her? Now, usually I'm a big advocate of talk it out with your partner, discuss your problems with your partner. But quite honestly, I'm not sure if that's the best thing for you to do right now. Because you have asked her once casually if she's taken money from your wallet, she has said no. You confront her, there is a good chance that she will deny it because you don't have proof. And honestly, a conversation like this usually doesn't go well, and there's a good chance that after that her behavior will probably spiral more out of control. You'll probably not even be able to tell about the things that she's stealing from you. Right now it's money, tomorrow it could be something else. I mean, of course, if you think you can and if there's a way to fix it, by all means give it a try. But these things, especially if it's intentional, going on for so long, I don't think it can be really fixed that easily. Okay, and if you do choose to break up with her, please be very careful. Lock everything inside, put a lock on everything, then sit down, talk to her, tell her that's not working out and you want her to move out. I mean, if it's your house, that is, you need to let her know that she needs to move out. And when she's moving out, be very careful that she doesn't take away something with herself. I'm really sorry that your relationship has come down to this where you need to think about these things, but sometimes being practical is very important. Moving to the next letter of the day, so let's call our next writer of the day Whiskey. Okay, Whiskey, Whiskey. So if you refer to the next writer, if you have to say something to the next writer, his name is Whiskey. Oh, I just realized this. Both my writers today are men. I think this is the first time in Smile with Prachi when both writers are men. Anyways, they had good questions and I felt like this was something that we could discuss on the channel. So, Whiskey says, "Hi, ma'am." Okay, first of all, guys, please stop calling me ma'am. I actually get a lot of letters where people call me that. I'm okay with being called Prachi. Please call me that, okay? I'm a guy in a relationship for last 8 years. When we had just started dating, she would often ask me if I would leave her if she got raped someday. That if I would leave her since she was no longer pure or a virgin. Naturally, this was a topic I didn't like discussing. But when she wouldn't stop asking, I eventually answered that to me purity comes from within and that I would absolutely stand by her side if something like that was to happen. This was when she confronted me with her deepest, darkest secret, something that she had never shared with anyone before. She was raped by her cousin for 4 to 5 years when she was a child. The story made me cry. Anyways, we are planning to get married soon, and here is my question. This cousin would be attending our wedding too, and I cannot bear the thought. He would be there in our wedding pictures. He would be there on the most important occasion of our lives. I do not want to share this day of our lives with him. She doesn't want to confront her parents, and since he is family after all, there seems to be no there seems to be no way around it. But I can't come to terms with this. I absolutely do not want him at the wedding. How do I ensure that? Whiskey, before I move to your the possible answers and possible ways to handle this, I do want to share a very important life slash relationship lesson with you. You're about to get married, you're in this beautiful relationship, and I think it's really okay. First of all, I think it's really nice that you actually care so much about her, especially in the Indian context, in the Indian scenario. Quite unfortunately, a lot of men still don't see things that way. So I think it's really nice, and the fact that you feel for her, you want to be there for her for this, I think it's just absolutely amazing. Okay, but here's my advice for you. When you are with someone, when you have a partner who you love so much, seeing your partner in pain will obviously cause you hurt. It's very hard to deal with that hurt because then it becomes your pain too, right? But sometimes in these scenarios, unfortunately, you cannot solve their problems. You can only be there for them. So be the strongest pillar of support that you possibly can be. But in the end, understand that it is her battle. If she doesn't want you to fight that battle for her, don't fight it. So yes, it can be hard for you, but let's just say we have to take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, so do not try to solve her problems for her if she's saying that she does not want you to solve it. Number one. Number two, there are a couple of things which you can do in this scenario. Okay, so she doesn't want to tell her parents what happened with the cousin. Again, that's her choice. We need to respect that. She doesn't want to make a big scene out of it or get people to ask questions. But if you guys are getting married, maybe you as the groom can put your foot down. Okay, there are a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you can simply insist on a small wedding where the extended family is not allowed. I don't know if that will work out for you guys and if that's something that you guys actually want. That is one option. Another option that you can definitely explore here is if your girlfriend is okay with it, you can just after the wedding is finalized and everything, just bring up this topic with her parents sometime. Say, there is this relative of yours, this boy, okay, this cousin of hers. I've heard that this guy is a relative of yours, and the parents will say, yeah, he's a relative of ours. What happened? Just say ki I do not want him at the wedding because I have heard really bad rumors about him. He was in my friend's college and he did this to one of the girls, and my friend is also coming to the wedding. He's a very bad guy. So don't mention any friend's name because again, there is this whole tag and everything that comes with it. But just make up a fake story as to why you don't want him. Okay, that he has misbehaved with a female cousin of yours or a female friend of yours or something like that, and you can make up the nastiest of stories here because honestly, this guy has raped your girlfriend, your fiance, right, when she was a child. So you don't really even need to spare him, and you can make up a fake story that he has done something like this to some other girl and you have heard about him and he's not very well known in the community, and having him around would actually reflect badly upon you guys as well. So maybe her parents will be willing to take a stand. That is one option that you can probably explore. So you're not really taking your girlfriend's name, but just saying that there is somebody else who he has done something of similar sort to. Another option is that you can, I don't know if this is even possible or not, but you can possibly, when you're meeting her cousins and all of that, and sometime when he's also there before the wedding, right? There are a lot of occasions and ceremonies that you have. You can go up and speak to this guy and say that I don't want you at the wedding. I know what you have done, and you better stay out of this. Otherwise, I will expose you, and in a very bad way to the whole family that nobody will even look at you and your parents anymore. So you can completely take it up with him yourself. Again, your girlfriend needs to be completely okay with this. She needs to be completely aligned with this. Having said all of this, quite honestly, I do get a feeling that she'll not agree to any of these options. There is a possibility that she will insist on just let him come over, we'll ignore him, whatever, because she has lived like this pretty much throughout her life. She was a child when she was raped, right? So she has kind of learned how to shut down those thoughts for a while when he's around and just make it through with that. So if she insists on it, I would suggest let her have it her way. I know it's hard on both of you right now, and I'm not saying that your concerns are wrong or invalid. It's coming from a place of love, but like I said, sometimes you have to take things with a pinch of salt because that's what your partner wants, and it is your partner's battle after all, right? So yes, guys, that's all I wanted to share in today's Smile with Prachi video. For all those of you who have been writing letters to me, I've actually been getting a lot more letters in the last 2 to 3 weeks than before. I don't know how this is happening or why, but the number of letters have increased drastically. So I do spend a considerable amount of time every single day answering to a lot of these emails, but in case I haven't been able to respond to your email, please hit that resend button. Just like a lot of times people write emails to me that Prachi, I sent you an email like 3 months back, you still haven't read it. If you sent it 3 months back, it's probably just gone way back in my inbox, and like finding it is probably going to be impossible now. Also, please don't send me your letters on Instagram and Facebook because I usually don't see a lot of messages over there. I'm not very active on Instagram, but do follow me, guys. Okay, I am slightly active on Instagram, not too much. So yeah, if I miss out a letter, please accept my apologies on this. Please keep resending. I'm definitely trying my best. See, another apology right here. And have a great weekend, everybody. And if you want, you can actually write your questions in the comment section below. It's a beautiful community, like you might have seen. There's a lot of lovely, encouraging people who will be willing to try and help you out. And of course, if I see your message, I'll try to help you out as well. So yes, like I just said, guys, have a great weekend, everybody. The weather here is so amazing in Bangalore these days. I've been in such a great mood of late. So I hope you feel the same way, and see you guys again next week, very, very soon, next time, okay? Hit subscribe, guys. We're about to touch 1 lakh subscribers on Smile with Prachi, and I'm so excited for it. So do hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.